Hello. This is my second attempt to record this video, and I had explained this question, so I'll be explaining it really quickly this time. So what we need to do in this question is we need to see. I am sorry about the background noises. I just can't do anything about them. So what we need to do is we need to calculate. We need to return all the partitions of a string such that every partition is a palindrome. So we all know what a palindrome is. A palindrome is nothing but the string. If we look it from right to left as well as from left to right, it should be the same string. That's what a palindrome is basically. So what we need to do here is, if we are given a string a b, we need to return all the palindromic substring of a and b. So the first thing is we need to return each and every single character, because each and every single character in itself is a palindrome. Second, we need to check if some substring is a palindrome or not. So in this example, what we are doing is, what my approach is, I'll start with and this is my current string, and ab is my remaining string. So I'll start with the prefix a. I'll check if it's a palindrome or not. If it's a single character string, it's for sure is a palindrome. I add it to the list if it's a palindrome. Then I check for the remaining string. If it's a palindrome, I add it to the list. If it's not a palindrome, what I do is I divide it into further subparts and I check for them. So that's how I added them. And for this case, what I do is, once I'm done with a as a prefix, I pick a plus 1 as a prefix and I check if it's a palindrome, then I add it. If it's not a palindrome, I check for the remaining, if it's a prefix or not, and then only I add it. So the first thing here which comes to our mind is, since we will be dealing with palindromes quite a lot, so we need to create a function which can tell us if the string is a palindrome or not. So let's call it is palindrome, and what we'll give this function is a string, and what we'll give it is a left and a right. Why are we giving it to integers? Is because we can calculate the integers, but what we are not doing is we are not inserting a substring in this, as you will find out in the later code. So if we were inserting a substring here, we would just ignore the two integers, but since we are not, we can't ignore. Now what we want to do is we need to check the characters at this left as is not equal to this character at right. So why are we doing this? I'll let you know in a minute the logic for this. And if it's not equal, return a false at any point of time if it's not equal. Else what we want to do is we want to return a true always. So either if a left is less than right, we want to return true. Left is greater than right or equal to right, we want to return a true. Else what we need to do is we need to check if the left and the right character are not same at any point of time. So we need to increment this left and we need to decrement this right. So from both the ends, one will increment, one will decrement, check with each other if they are equal, if they are equal, and at some point only one single character is left in between, and all the rest remaining, the left and the right, are equal to each other. Then we know that it's a palindrome. Return true. Now we need to return a list of lists, not of lists of strings. Now let's call it result, and it will be new array list. And now what we are doing here is backtracking. We choose one thing, we go to the end of that solution, then we backtrack to that another thing for another combination, like in permutation how we do this. So what we need to do is we will need to call another function here. I will define this function later. Let's return the result here. Okay, done. Now what we need to do is we need to define another function. Okay, let's make it private. Let's make it void. and I'll call that function as partitioning. Okay, now what we need to do is, first we need to give it a string s, simple. Next we need to give it a list of integers, so that list of strings, so that it can deal with that. Now what we want is, we want a list of strings to be created here, so we can add it. Let's call it res now, and we need to give it a starting point 2 here. Now for the first starting point, let's call this function here, and okay, now for the first starting point, we know the starting point is 0, give it a 0. We don't have a res here, we don't need to create a this here. So what I'll be doing is, I'll be entering just a new array list of integers. Yeah, that would do. And I have a result, I have created it. So let's delete this part. Sorry, just don't know why it is delaying so much. Yeah, and then I need an s, I've given an s. So what we want to do here is, first we need to check for the start. So if the start variable is less than or equal to the length of our string right now, then what we need to do is, we need to add, see, first we need to create a new res, because we don't have any list of strings yet. So what I'll do is, in my result I will add a new array list of integers, of strings, and I'll call it res. So why am I using this bracket here? Because if it already exists, it won't create a new one, it would just simply add this one, and if it does not exist, it would create a new one. Okay, now what we need to do is, we need to start a for loop from I equals to start to I less than s dot length. Okay, I have forgot some brackets here, I hope I haven't made that mistake anywhere else. Okay, cool. Now I will increment the I, and now we need to check if this function returns true for this particular string or not. So let's give it a string. Now the left is the start, as we know, and the right is the ith part. Done. And if this gives us a positive response, then only we are interested, otherwise we can skip that particular substring. So if it is true, what I want it to do is, I want to add it first, I want to add it to my res. So res dot add, what will I add is s dot substring. Substring for what? My substring will start at my start index and it will go to I. So you know the substring function will always ignore the last bit, so make it greater than that, one more than that. Okay, in the partitioning function, I'll recall it, I'll give it a string, I'll give it a result, I'll give it a res, and then my start will be I plus 1, because I have dealt with the I part. Now I need to deal with the I plus 1th part. Now at the end, what we want to do is, we want to remove it, like we want to remove whatever there was in the list, to reset the list, kind of. So how would we do that? We would just and -1, so it would reset our list. I hope it works fine, because it did work fine a moment ago. It is equal to where on the line number 13th. Yeah, equals to new array list. And do I need to okay, I misspelled. Yeah, here's an A. No, oh, I'm so sorry. I misspelled it here. Here's an A, array list. There. Yo. Okay, so it's working fine except for a few places. It's I am giving my s, it's returning true. I'm starting from 0, giving a new, I'm giving a string, I'm taking the substring from start to I plus 1. Okay, I haven't done anything to the start yet. If start is less than and equal to this, it should return my answer correctly. And I'm adding this to my result. And where is the mistake here? And if it does not exist, it will create one. It will create a substring from this to this, and it will give me back my that, my this, and done. So where's the mistake here? What's happening is I'm adding way too many strings. Like, I should not be adding these to it. So I shouldn't be adding them here. It's res.add, right? Yeah, yes, it's res.add. So what's happening is, in this function now, I'm not adding it in the for loop. It's just empty right now. And I need to again do this question briefly. Like, what is the matter here? I've started with 0, it starts with 0, goes to the length, it goes to just before the length, starts incrementing. Like, there is not a problem after that. It's just, it's adding way too many lists to the list of lists. So this function, this here, has been more frequent than I thought it would be. So what should I do? I will get back to this in a minute. You can insert that one eternity later meme here. I am not going to do all that editing stuff. So I was wrong here. It should not be less than the s dot length, because I'll explain you why. If this start, we increment this start so much, like we are recalling this function, so it should be greater than the string, equal to the length of the string or greater than it. Then only we need to add our res to our result. Otherwise it would add this result every time, and it would skip it when the main time arrives, that is when it's equal. And right now it works fine, and I'll be submitting my solution. Although this solution isn't the best optimized one, we can use TP in this to optimize it further, but I don't know how to do that. I'll be trying to learn that concept also, and maybe I'll make another video for this question. Thank you guys.